Super Mario Kart was an extremely popular game that came out in the early 1990s and was the start of an extremely popular franchise that had tons of sequels made for it. And since this game was so popular when it first came out, there's no surprise that there was a plush set made for it. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Takara Super Mario Kart plush sets. Now before we get to the individual plushes themselves, let's talk about a little history about this plush set. This plush set was released in 1993, a year after Super Mario Kart originally came out. This plush set was released by the company Takara and it was only in UFO catchers in Japan, so a pretty obscure place to get them. And over the years, these plushes have actually become pretty expensive, especially a few in the set, and they're quite hard to find in extremely good condition nowadays. So yeah, with all that said, let's start with the first plush in the set being the Mario. Now before we get to the actual plush itself, let's talk about the carts. The carts are the exact same in all these plushes and they're made out of some sort of hard material, but it could get damaged and the paint on it could get easily chipped, and I've seen a ton of them missing parts on it, so yeah, they're pretty fragile. It's quite hard to find one in mint condition that doesn't have any paint damage on it or just doesn't have any missing parts on it. Sometimes even the wheel comes off and the character's hands are stitched off of it. And yeah, overall it's quite hard to find these mint condition carts because they were made to be pretty fragile, so yeah, they're kind of hard to keep in good condition. Now for Mario himself, he's actually pretty good. For his face, the emblem on his hat is made out of felt and is only glued on, so it could fall off because the glue has get dried up over all these years. The eyes are also just iron on, so they could get discolored and cracked, and the mustache is also just glued on, so it could fall off. And Mario isn't actually wearing any overalls, he just has a normal red shirt on, which isn't accurate. It would have been nice if Takara could have added just some overall detail. It doesn't even have to be that detailed, but they didn't. They just left a red shirt on him. And his body is stitched to the cart, which applies to all the plushes in this set. Overall, the Mario plush itself is not the best. It has some details that could get easily damaged, is missing the overalls on it. So yeah, not the best Mario plush out there, but since it has the cart to it, it's still pretty unique. And a fun fact about this plush set is that it's the only Mario Kart set to have the actual characters in the carts. There were some other Mario Kart plush sets for Mario Kart Wii, but they never came with the actual characters, they just came with the items in the game, so that makes this set super unique. But yeah, overall Mario is pretty good, I guess. He definitely isn't the best in the set, but definitely isn't the worst either. I recommend looking on eBay or Yahoo Japan auctions for this one. It could sell between $40 and $80, man, if it's on terrible condition or good condition. Now let's move on to the next plush set, which is Luigi. Now, one thing that you'll notice about all these plushes that have a difference on them is that the color of their carts are all different. Mario's cart was red and Luigi's cart is blue, so yeah, I'll point that out on all these plushes as well. Now, Luigi has very similar issues to Mario, such as the emblem being made out of felt and could easily fall off, and same thing with the eyes getting discolored and cracked over the years. His mustache and eyebrows could also fall off, so basically all the exact same bad things about the Mario, and also he doesn't have the overalls just like the Mario, which is another bit detail that's missing. I find it really strange that Takara decided not to put the overalls on this plush, it really doesn't make much sense at all. It really wouldn't be too hard to just, instead of just having green or red felt, just have a blue felt on it to show the overalls. And what makes even less sense is that the pants on them are blue like the overalls would be there, so it makes even less sense that they don't have overalls on the top of them, but they have the legs of the overalls. But yeah, besides these problems, the Luigi plush is once again pretty good, I guess. Now, the Luigi plush in this set is slightly more rare than Mario and also slightly more expensive. Just like the Mario, I recommend looking on eBay or Yahoo Japan auctions, and you can sell between $80 to $120 mattering on the condition of it, so pretty expensive compared to Mario. So now let's move on to a slightly cheaper plush in the set, being the Toad. Now, Toad's cart is a light blue. It looks the exact same color as Luigi's, but it's a slightly lighter color than Luigi's cart. And this is probably my least favorite plush in this whole set. The main reason for that is that the face just looks really weird. For some reason, he's looking straight up, which isn't accurate, and also his details on his face aren't really that good either. He kind of just looks kind of weird looking. The red circles on his head are only made out of felt and are only glued on, so they could fall off over the years, and his eyes and mouth could also get damaged very easily because they're made out of bad materials. Now, Toad actually technically does have his coat on, but it wraps around his whole body, which isn't accurate, so I don't know why they did it with him and not Mario and Luigi, and they didn't even make it accurate on Toad. But yeah, overall, this plush probably has the least detail in the whole set, and also just looks the weirdest, and probably the least accurate. So yeah, definitely my least favorite in the whole set. If you want this plush, look on eBay or Yahoo Japan. But yeah, it could sell for around $30 to $50, no if it's in good condition or bad condition. So yeah, pretty cheap compared to the other two. Now also on to another pretty cheap plush in the set, being Yoshi. Now, Yoshi's card is orange, which, to be honest with you, doesn't really match him that well, in my opinion. It just doesn't really look right on Yoshi to have an orange card, but that's just my opinion. Now, the eyes on this plus have a very similar to a problem to Luigi and Mario's eyes because they could crack really easily, and there's tons of examples of this. Also, his nostrils are also just pieces of felt glued on. I have seen them fall off plenty of times, so be careful with that as well if you get this plush. Now, one nice small detail that Takara made is that he actually has a mouth that's just a felt line piece that's just glued on. It's a really nice detail that Takara added. And on the back of his head, he has felt pieces that could get damaged because it's made out of felt. And overall, that's really all the details for Yoshi. Overall, he is a pretty simple plush, but Takara got all the right details on him. They just didn't execute it that well with the materials that they had. If you want this plush, look on eBay or Yahoo Japan, and yeah, it could sell for around $40 to $60, mattering if it's in good condition or bad condition. Now let's move on to the next plush of the set, which is Peach. Now, this plush is probably one of the more detailed ones in the whole set, with all the felt pieces sticking off of it, which give it like extra depth. And the card is also pink instead of the other colors, which matches Peach really well. Her hair has extra pieces of felt on the top of it to add definition to it, but it could get damaged easily because it's made out of felt, could collect debris or dust. Same thing with the crown, it could collect debris and dust, and also I have seen lots of examples of being crushed over the years, so yeah, it could get damaged quite easily. Her earrings could also fall off because they're just slightly glued onto her ears, so yeah, be careful with those as well. All the details on her face are made out of an iron-on material, so they could get cracked and discolored. And overall, that's really all there is to say about this plush. The plush is actually missing a detail on it, which is her necklace, so yeah, that's the one detail that Takara missed. It seems like Takara at least missed one detail with almost every single one of these plushes, besides plushes like Yoshi. But yeah, this plush does have a lot of extra details on it, but yeah, they could get damaged and they didn't get executed that well by Takara. If you want this plush just like the others, look on eBay or Yahoo Japan, and yeah, it sells between $60 to $80. Now, steering away from the good guys, let's start off with the first bad guy in the set being the Koopa Trooper. Now, I actually pretty much like this plush, besides one detail, the mouth on it, and also it has a nice cart detail, and I really like the yellow color that they use. They use a nice light yellow color, and that really matches Koopa quite well. But yeah, the mouth on this plush is my least favorite detail in any of the plushes in the set, and it just looks terrible in my opinion. For some reason, they have little gaps between his mouth because they stitched it in a weird way, which doesn't really make much sense because they made Yoshi's mouth with a nice felt line, and that looked perfect, so I don't know why they just didn't do it with him like Yoshi did. But besides that one terrible detail, the rest of the plush is okay, I guess. The eyes could get really damaged, and it seems that this one has a really big problem with the eyes getting cracked. I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but it seems like all the Koopa Trooper plushes you see just have cracked eyes. I don't know if it's just bad quality control with this plush, but it just seems like they just have really bad eyes compared to the rest of the plushes in the set. The two nostrils could also fall off because they're only glued on. I would say that this plush would overall be pretty good if it had a normal looking mouth, but Takara just ruined it by making the mouth look so weird. Also, this plush is one of the rarest in the whole set, and you can barely see it showing up, and when it does show up, it shows up for a lot of money, and most of them are in bad condition, so it's quite hard to find a good condition one. It will cost a lot of money if you find them in condition one. I've seen them sell on eBay and Yahoo Japan from $100 to $160, no matter if it's in bad condition or good condition. Now let's move on to another enemy, and this is the main enemy, Bowser. Now, just like Peach, he actually has a lot of nice details on him that are made out of felt, except they didn't get executed too well because they could get damaged easily. And also, his cart, once again, just like Yoshi, uses a weird color that doesn't really match Bowser. I actually think it would have made more sense if they switched the cart out with Yoshi and gave Yoshi the cyan color cart and gave Bowser the orange cart. I think it would have looked a lot better for both of the plushes. But yeah, going on to the Bowser plushes, so the horns on him are made out of felt and they could get bent and damaged, as you can see here. The eyes could also get cracked because they're just an iron-on material, and same thing with the eyebrows and teeth. And the nose pieces are also once again just made out of felt and they're glued on poorly. And overall, the rest of the plush is pretty good. The cuts on his arms are really nice, and they don't get damaged that often from what I see in pictures of this plush. And overall, Bowser would have been a really good plush if Takara just made the details out of a better material. And I've noticed throughout basically all of these plushes in the set that the plushes would have been a lot better if there were better materials used by Takara to make these plushes. So yeah, for Bowser, I would recommend looking on eBay or Yahoo Japan auctions, and it sells for around $70 to $100, whether it's in good condition or bad condition. Now let's move on to the second most expensive character in this whole set, being Donkey Kong Jr. Now, a cool thing about this plush is that it's the only officially released Donkey Kong Jr. plush. The reason why I say officially released is because Ito did have a plan to release one, but they never did. It only ended up ever being in one catalog. Once again, just like basically all the other plushes said, the nostrils and the eyes could get easily damaged and discolored easily. And they actually did a good job making his mouth, which is made out of this felt line material, which, it would have been better to use on this Koopa plush, but for some reason they decided to make it out of a different thing on the Koopa plush, which still doesn't make any sense, because they showed that they could do it on this plush and Yoshi, so I don't know why they didn't do it on the Koopa, but hey, whatever. And overall, they basically have all the correct details on this plush, and it's actually one of the best plushes in the whole set, because it doesn't have many details that could get damaged compared to the other plushes in this set. The worst part about this plush is probably the color of the card. The lime green color just doesn't really match this plush too well, but that's really the only complaint I have about this plush besides the materials used on it. And it's probably one of my favorite plushes in this whole set besides the next plush that we'll be looking at, which is also the final plush in this set. If you want this Donkey Kong Jr. plush, look on eBay or Yahoo Japan, and it sells for a lot of money, like $150 to $200. Now let's move on to the next plush of the set, which is in my opinion the best plush of the set, being Lakitu. Now a cool thing about this plush is that it was actually the first ever Lakitu plush to ever be made, and there was actually never another Lakitu plush based off of the Mario Kart franchise, so this plush is actually really unique. Now the worst part about this plush is definitely the glasses on him, because they're made out of an iron material and they could get cracked easily, and his hair is also made out of felt so they could get bent and damaged, but besides that, the rest of the plush is actually pretty good. The cloud itself is made out of this really nice fuzzy material, and the eyes on the cloud are made out of this glass material, which could get chipped and damaged on it, and also the mouth is just slightly stitched on, so it's kind of hard to see on some versions of this plush. Now, by far the coolest part about this whole plush is that the light that he's holding actually lights up. Well, it's supposed to. A lot of them don't work now because these plushes are almost 30 years old, so yeah, they're quite old and they could get damaged really easily, so yeah, most of them don't work, but I actually did find a video of one working. Here's the video of the plush working. I'll link the website that I found this video on in the description, so yeah, go check it out, because I actually have a few other cool Mario plush posts on there, so yeah, I would recommend go checking them out, link in the description. But yeah, most of the Lakitu plushes don't light up anymore, and some are even just missing details completely on the stoplight, which is really not a good thing. But yeah, overall, this plush is actually really good, and is the most expensive plush in this whole set by far. Look on eBay or Yahoo Japan for this plush. It could sell between $200 to $300, mattering if it's in good or bad condition. So yeah, which plush on the set is your favorite? Mine's obviously the Lakitu, but yeah, comment yours down below, and yeah, have a great day.